All men have secrets and here is mine, so let it be known. For we have been through hell and high tide, I think I can rely on you. And yet you start to recoil, heavy words are so lightly thrown. But still I leap in front of a flying bullet for you. So what difference does it make? So what difference does it make? It makes none, but now you have gone, and you must be looking very old tonight. The devil will find work for idle hands to do. I stole and I lied, and why? Because you asked me to. But now you make me feel so ashamed, because I've only got two hands. But I'm still fond of you. So what difference does it make? Oh, what difference does it make? Oh, it makes none. But now you have gone, and your prejudice won't give you one tonight. Oh, the devil will find work for idle hands to do. I stole and then I lied just because you asked me to. But now you know the truth about me, you won't see me anymore. Well, I'm still fond of you. But no more apologies. No more apologies. Oh, I'm too tired. I'm so sick and tired, and I'm feeling very sick and ill today. But I'm still fond of you.
We'll have enough of that now. Oh, we've got a bit of delay on tonight, haven't we?
How cool.
There's some delay on here, Matthew. I feel like I'm in the Cure. So, yes, good evening. And joining me tonight is a good old friend. Not that he's old, but he's a guy I've known for a long time. Geoff Hayward, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. And there's still a lot of delay going on
I like
here.
it. It's a bit Sun Studios.
It is, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, we should leave it.
I think we should leave it.
Yeah,
Leave the delay, Matt.
Atmospheric.
It's very atmospheric. So, Geoff, you're joining me tonight, and you've brought some music.
Yep.
And those first two songs are the two songs that make me kind of think of you, really. Whenever I hear them, I think, oh, I bet Geoff would like them.
That's pretty cool on both of those, then. Thank you.
You know, how do you pronounce his name?
Ennio Morricone.
Ennio Morricone. See, yeah. I just sort of saw it written down once, and I thought, oh, it's Ennio Morricone. From Bradford.
That sounds like something you rub on.
I know, it just sounds wrong, doesn't it? And of course, that was the Ecstasy of Gold, which is, I just think it's fantastic. It's a very atmospheric piece.
Yes, it is. It sounds very good live. Luckily enough, I've seen it live. So.
You have, and how many people were in the orchestra? You did say.
There must have been at least 200. There was 88 people just in the choir, so there must have been about 200 people there because they had a full bank of violas, full bank of violins, brass, timpani, guitar. You know, it was.
It must have been amazing.
It was excellent.
Because you write your own music, don't you?
I do. I
And-
always have done as well since I was a kid.
When you write your own music, do you kind of write it out as music, or do you write it out as sort of tablature, or?
It depends. I don't write it out as music. I scribble sort of ideas down of where things go up and down, or I might whistle something into something, so I've got an idea. Or I'll just play it and then write the chords down, you know.
Yeah.
For each part of the line and whatever, and just work it from that. Really, it's not. I don't sit and write, you know, a stave of music off, you know.
So I was just thinking, if you were doing that, you're writing for vocals.
Yeah, I
Guitar.
kind of hear the whole thing in my
Yeah.
head and then sort of break it into bits.
So imagine being writing for a 120-piece orchestra or something. Just imagine that score, because
Yeah, it's
Ennio, he writes the whole score, doesn't he? I can imagine he writes the whole thing out.
he does, and also it's all handwritten
Wow.
as well. So it's not printed up; it's handwritten. Brian Setzer does the same for his orchestra. He writes all the charts. He's a clever man.
He is a very clever man. I mean, I always remember him from the Stray Cats.
Yeah,
And I always thought they were a very clever band because they were incredibly minimal.
yeah. Was 3-piece again?
Indeed.
3-piece band.
And they, I don't know, I can always remember them being kind of precursors to the whole kind of psychobilly
Yeah.
thing, where you had bands like the Meteors, the Cramps, the Scientists, the Guana Bats.
I think that's maybe I might be wrong, but I think because they kind of got big in London first, they influenced a lot of the London
Yeah.
crowd, and punk was still sort of ticking along then.
Yeah.
So it kind of like a natural progression to go from punk to psychobilly.
And it really took off. I can remember it being a huge, big scene, because at that time I was heavily into punk.
Yeah,
And I think I just started listening to, like, same bands like the Stranglers and the Scars and the Buzzcocks.
yeah.
And somebody pitched up with I think it was the Cramps album, Off the Bone.
I think Cramps are something on entirely of themselves. I don't think
Yeah.
they're really. They've influenced so many people. Obviously, got the horror pops and all that goth horror stuff now, but they were kind of like on their own. They were sort of like what was left over of the garage rock scene, perhaps, of the '60s.
I think, yeah, you could be right. I mean, a lot of and there's an American punk scene from the 60s, which I'm really interested in the moment, and I'm kind of collecting the CDs. You've got like sort of American 60s punk from places like Texas.
Yeah.
You've got New York, and they're all very different, but you can hear where the Cramps
Yeah,
developed from, because it is very kind of rock and roll, but also quite dirty, quite
Yeah.
garagey. But then the band, the Meteors were the band that kind of made me sit up and listen. Remember the album Meteors Live?
yeah. They played. They were really good.
Yeah.
You know.
But they were really powerful. They had a kind of just a complete power, raw power. Whereas I thought the Stray Cats had more of a delicate.
I think, without being rude, I think that the Stray Cats were always the more musical way. But then because Brian Setzer was throwing in jazz,
Yeah.
you know, blues, bebop, swing, everything into it. So it became a style all on its own, really. You know, you hear Brian Setzer play and you go, it's Brian Setzer,
Yeah.
you know, because it's just super clever.
Speaking of people writing their own songs, I think I played this last week, or it may have been the week before, but you sent me an MP3 of a song you'd written when you were 17?
Yeah, no, I wasn't. I was 18.
18?
I just learned, when I was learning to play guitar, it was the first thing I wrote on guitar, because I knew 3 chords. I know 5 now.
Yeah, so you're a bit of a
So,
jazzer
yeah,
now, aren't you?
that's it now. I'm all over it.
Do you know any minors as well?
Yeah, there was. I think my uncle was a miner for a while.
I was trying to teach somebody minor chords the other week, and it was quite a strange experience, because I must admit I've never really used them a lot. And this person I was with saying, "Oh, I want to learn minor chords. Apparently they're quite somber." So he got all the charts.
Did you just smack him around the head and say, "Get over it, come
yes.
on"?
No, listen to this is the Ramones. Yeah.
Major chords all the way.
Major chords, all at bar chords. You know,
Yeah.
nothing open. So let's have a listen to this is a song called "Please Don't Leave."
Yeah, Please Don't Leave. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Let's hear it then.
Oh yeah, you have to wait for me
here we go.
to walk to the Porter studio.
There you go. That was please don't leave. Oh, I missed the end. Your crowning triumph there, Geoff, and I missed that.
Oh, don't worry.
So that was recorded.
No, I recorded. It's recently recorded. I've got an original recording of some on tape.
Yeah.
Somewhere. But yeah, I wrote it when I was about 18 and a bit because I got into the Smiths I learned all the bass lines, and then I thought, right, I really want to have a go at the guitar because I
Yeah.
kind of I still like Johnny Marr. So I started learning guitar, and so once I'd learned 3 chords, I thought, right, I'm ready to start writing songs again then. And off that was the first one.
Because I mean, I've known you as
Forever.
well, it seems like forever because obviously going way back to the 80s in Stanford,
Yeah.
drinking cheap snake bites in St Mary's Vaults.
That's it. Not the Green Death, though. I didn't go to that school.
No, I never went that far. I couldn't afford it. I think that was the
Exactly, because we didn't go to the grammar school. So.
Oh, I did.
Did you?
I did go to the grammar school.
Well,
Yes.
You've managed to shake off that very well.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, I left when I was 16. Well, actually, I left when I was 15, and I went to as what is now New College Stanford. That was then Stanford Tech.
Oh, Stanford Tech, yeah.
And I did I did art, communications, and sociology at A level, which has served me well.
Yes, yeah. Well,
But I can always remember the one thing I remember about you is being a big Stranglers fan.
yeah. I was really into Stranglers because I obviously that's what got me into playing bass, and obviously I was in a punk band, so I thought, well, I want to learn how to play the bass. I know I'll play along with the Stranglers, so that's how I did that.
But you were we did briefly mention this when the music was on. We kind of learnt the bass in a very similar way.
Yeah,
Which is sort of stick your head into the speakers. And,
put the record on and
yeah.
figure it out.
What was the first bass line you learned?
It was probably Nice and Sleazy, actually. It was actually probably Nice and
That's,
Sleazy.
that's a good introduction, isn't
Well,
it?
I remember sitting in it was called the Alderman, and you know where the pub in Peterborough, it used to be called the Alderman. It's now an Italian restaurant.
Is it? I can remember the older Muns in Stamford, but that used to be the Oddfellows room, which became the Crystal Rooms.
Yeah, no, that's different. It was near, because you had the White Lion, and then along the road in Cowgate, there was around the corner there was a place called the Alderman. Anyway, we used to sit in there and meet up before we went off to rehearsal, or do whatever it was. And I remember Neil Singleton from the Destructors telling me I couldn't play the Stranglers, so I went and I played it, and he went, "Oh,
All right, you can play the Stranglers. I don't think it was a Stranglers bass line. I think the first bass line I properly learned was Holidays in the Sun.
okay."
Because it was the first
Yeah,
track
yeah.
off the Pistols album,
Yeah.
Never Mind the Bollocks.
Yeah.
The first, that was the sort of, probably the crown. Actually, no, it wasn't the first track. The first track is Bodies. It must have been the first track on the second side.
Yeah.
Because I remember just playing it and thinking, I got my mum and dad bought me my 3/4 scale copy Fender.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a Jazz, or just it looked like a Fender. I don't know how many pickups. I think it was a Jazz copy, had the 2 pickups. And I remember sort of sitting down with a little Badger amp,
Yeah.
which is
Like
about 10 watts.
or something. Yeah.
And I put the album on, and I just literally kind of smashed along to it for probably a good day and a half. Drove everyone mental at home and then just learnt that bass. And I think once I'd got that one, I was like, I can play this, because obviously to me that was a musical masterpiece. that
Well,
album.
it's a good song.
And so once I think that was something. Well, I can play that, because I was playing in a band at the time with. Well, I think I was just starting to play in a band, which kind of involved us running around school shouting at people and making guitar noises, which is how everybody should start a band, because that gives you the confidence to perform. And then sort of the Pistols made me think, oh, yeah, I can play the bass, because it was easier than the guitar. And,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, that was it. That was me. Should we want to hear some Stranglers?
Go on. Then. What
I think we should. Well, this is a song that we were talking about before. This is one of the first songs I ever heard by the Stranglers, and the thing that really made me sit up and listen was the keyboard line.
I see you're on Tank, are you?
It is Tank, yeah.
I can say for 1, 2, or 3, or 4. its high velocity. It can blow a man's arm off at the count of 3. If I get my hands on one of those, I'm something to watch out for. I can drive my very own tank, yes I can.
I'll try not to cut the ending off that one. We're still very kind of surf sounding here, aren't we? Nice bit of sort of reverb.
Yes,
it's good, isn't it? Yeah,
suits me. Thank you.
I think I think it'd be interesting to talk about what we were just literally talking about 30 seconds ago about being in bands and learning to play.
Yeah, when we were growing up and we didn't learn how to play and join a band. We joined a band or got a band together and then learned how to play. And that's how everybody approached it. Everyone was doing the same thing, you know, and it didn't really matter if you weren't much good at the start. As you know, because everyone's trying to learn and everyone's trying to get better, everything got better pretty quick, you know, and it soon became obvious that it was going to be good, and you know, but now everyone seems to learn to be virtuosos on their own, and then come into a band. And then fight and fall out all the time because everyone's trying to be the best thing in it rather than thinking of it as a mini orchestra where everyone's got a part to play.
Yeah.
You know, this is your part, this is your part, this is my part, and we stack it all together and it makes this sound. Whereas everyone's just trying to be the centre of attention, which is not necessarily a good thing.
I think, I mean, I was thinking about something similar the other day, where I was thinking, what bands do I remember going back about even sort of 5 years? And I think locally there are bands that I'm just discovering now that are on the original scene that have been around for ages. That I'm just kind of discovering as bands like the Deadites, and also like Scumbus. I mean, they've been around for ages.
Yeah. And
there's new bands like I Got Spiders, who are good friends of the show and good friends of mine as well. But there are also a lot of bands that just seem to have disappeared. And you think, well, I wonder what happened to them. And, you know, a lot of the time it is because they have this kind of infighting.
I wonder. But it always seems to be they're fighting and falling out. We're so lucky, the band I'm in and all the stuff I do with the people I do, because we all get on really well. And it's wonderful. You go, I've got this thing. Yeah, okay. Brilliant. Let's do that.
I think the other thing, and maybe I'll get shot down for saying this, I think age has a big part to play in it as well.
You may be right.
I mean, certainly from my perspective, I mean, I play in a band doing the Hendrix stuff, and that's purely, we just do Hendrix stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, for a long time it was me and Mike, and we had a drummer, and then we've had a few drummers.
Yeah.
But me and Mike just get on really well. And we've been lucky that all the drummers we had Staceman to start off with, and he moved on, and then Lewis joined, and now he's moving on, and Chris is stepping in. we all just seem to get on really well. And sort of some bands have been in, when you rehearse, you rehearse, and that's where you make the mistakes, and you get to the end of the song and you say, oh, you know, that second verse, I played a B instead of a A, and you go back and you play it again and you get it right, and everybody's cool. Sometimes you play in other bands and you make a mistake and everyone kind of looks at you like you've committed a cardinal sin, whereas in the band I'm playing with Mike will just kind of look at me, raise an eyebrow and smile. Yeah. And he's acknowledging, I heard that. But there's no kind of, you know, you're not kind of, you don't feel, I've got to go into rehearsal.
I think you've learnt that fact that when it's already out the window, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, once you've made a mistake, you know.
It's gone, carry on.
I did that terrible thing once. It was recently as well. It wasn't like, I can't say, it was years ago, and I've learned. I did that really terrible thing where, and if Mike's listening, he'll remember this. We played a party, and we played Little Wing.
Right.
As far as bass lines go, it's not rocket science. It's very repetitive. And I didn't play one bum note. I played about 3. I just had one of those moments where I just forgot the words.
Drifted off.
And when the song finished, I did that really awful thing as I started checking my amp and saying, it doesn't sound right. I think I'm out of tune. And Mike just looked at me and went, you messed up. And I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Admit it.
Yeah. But of course, you know, like I said, once the bum note's gone out there, people have heard it and
moved on.
You know, and people generally forget about it.
Yeah.
Although I don't want to go on too much about Hendrix Band, but I do remember we played the last ever Willow Festival that was in Peterborough. Not the last ever one, but the last one here.
Yeah.
We played, and there was a guy stood at the front, and I can remember him. He was an old guy, and he had a Union Jack shirt, which is why I think he stood out. And he was just sat there, arms folded, staring at me, appreciating the music, enjoying it, and was completely unemotive. And we did. I can't remember what song it was now. I can hear how it starts. Stone Free. And for some reason, there was the monitor I couldn't quite hear. I think I stood too close to the cymbal. You know when you stand too close to the cymbal? And I couldn't quite hear. And there's a little change up in the verse. And I was trying to look at Mike, and I was trying to figure out. And, of course, he went for the change up. I didn't hear it. I carried on playing. He looked at me. I made the change. As soon as I made the change, this guy in the crowd just looked at me, nodded and smiled. That was the only response I got from it. And I tried to find him afterwards to say, are you some kind of Hendrix virtuoso? Because the only kind of emotion I got from you was when I made a mistake.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's gone, isn't it? Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
So what's this band, Geoff? You're in a band now.
Which one? Oh, right. Well,
you've just started. There's been a couple of things because I've played some of the stuff. There was the Joe Solo stuff that you were doing. Joe
Solo was like the first alter ego that I've come up with this trilogy of sort of pretend spaghetti western soundtracks and stories. Mm-hmm. I've done the first 2, and I'm starting to write the third one. The Joe Solo was in the first one. Now, he gets shot by Hayward at the end of that. So the next one's Hayward. So at the end of the second one, whether Hayward gets killed or not, I haven't figured out yet. But as it turns out, Joe Solo isn't really dead. So it's kind of the trilogy. You should have all these characters all sort of piling in and having a free-for-all. But it's all sort of spaghetti western surf music.
Well, I've got quite a lot on here, quite a lot of the Joe Solo stuff. I've probably got the whole album, I think.
You probably have got the whole of the first one. I don't know if you've got any of the second one yet. I shall send
so if you suggest a song that you'd like to have
have you got Dead Man's Hand? I'm quite chuffed with that. I think it's got a really cool guitar riff.
That's probably the only one I haven't got.
You haven't got that?
I've got Crime of Passion.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay, well,
let's
play some Joe Solo, and then when we've played this, you can tell us about the new stuff that you're doing.
Okay.
And also, because you also did some other stuff as well, because
I've just done loads and all sorts all my life, really.
I'm trying to think the band that you were gigging with, because I used to see a lot of the posters, so I really like your artwork. Because a lot of bands you see...
Ramshackle Serenade.
Ramshackle Serenade, that was it, yeah.
That's so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun, because obviously it's just me and a big old Gretsch guitar into me amp, turned up, Tina's singing, I'm singing, Matt's in it now, he's singing, Foz is drumming. We'll do anything, but we do original stuff of mine, but we just slip it in through under the net, you know.
Yeah.
because we don't do that awful thing that people do. Here's one of mine, and everyone just turns away and looks at the bar. So we just play them as if they're someone else's, and then at the end, someone will come up and say, like, for instance, "Please Don't Leave." I go, "Who wrote that? That was a really good song." And then Tino will go, "He did." No, who wrote it? He did. He wrote it when he was about 18.
So I mean, what were the other songs? I'll tell you what. Let's play
Arizona's another good one. I was trying to get a big band sort of feel about it.
I have got Arizona's. Oh, I have actually got Arizona Big Band.
There you go. Then do that.
So
one.
let's
Yeah.
have a change of scene. Let's have that. This is Arizona Big Band by Joe Solo.
Come with me, we can be free. We'll travel west to Arizona. I want to love, I want to feel, I want to live there in Arizona. When you think I've lost my mind, look at me and you will find so many reasons to decide it's time to take that ride. My friends, they are waiting. They want to see me in Arizona. And when I go, I will not wander. I'm gonna stay there in Arizona. When you think I've lost my mind, look at me and you will find so many reasons to decide it's time to take that ride. When you see it stretched out in front of you, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna wanna be there too. Looking at the pouring rain, watching summer flow down the drain. There is somewhere I'd rather be. If you're smart, you'll come with me. When you see it stretched out in front of you, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna wanna be there too. People think I'm crazy all the time. People think I'm crazy all the time. Yeah. When you think I've lost my mind, look at me and you will find so many reasons to decide it's time to take that ride. You see it stretched out in front of you. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna wanna be there too. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna wanna be there too. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna wanna be there too.
That was Arizona Big Band, and that was by Joe Solo, who
It's now apparently dead. Well, I
Apparently.
don't think he is. He may just be. He's going to come back, perhaps. Who knows?
and that'll be on the third part
Third
of the trilogy.
album, yeah, which is going to start getting together now. So, but
And what if I wanted to get a copy? Because you said that the copies I've got are like the original mixes, and
yeah,
they can
that's
be
a very
redone.
that's an old version as well. Because we've got the finished version is really different from that as well. I've got another little solo bit in there, and Foz is drumming for me, so that's a lot better. Yeah, and I've changed some words as well to make it more relevant to the story where I was writing it around in Arizona. There were some places that I was using in the actual story of the thing, so they got included.
Before we talk about what you're doing now, you touched on one of my pet hates just before that song finished.
Go on.
And about people filming gigs.
When you go to a gig and you stand there filming the entire thing.
Yeah.
So you can watch it later. But you're there. Watch it now.
The people who you paid £50, sometimes you can pay up to £50-60 for a really big all singing, all dancing production. And I can't remember who it was I went to see. It wasn't a festival, it was like a proper show. I think it was at Wembley. And I was lucky enough to get quite near the front. And the guy in front of me just had his phone up the whole time. Yeah. And there was a break. I think it might have been Rush.
Okay.
And there was a break in the performance. It was Rush, yeah, because there was a break. And so I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, I play music, and what you've got up on that stage is probably some of the most amazing quality guitars, amplifiers, drums, microphones. The sound system in this room is probably worth more than any of us will ever see in our lifetime. The guy at the sound desk has probably more years experience mixing and producing sound for an arena than I've been alive. And yet you choose to record it on your mobile phone and listen to it when you get home on a computer. So you get this horrible, tinny, bassless sound where you can just absorb what is going on around you.
And check out different things.
Yeah.
What's the guitar player and what's the bass player doing now? What's the drummer doing? How's that work with this and that? And wow, that was unexpected. Look at that,
I think there should be some kind of law against it, because you could never take flash photography, could you?
No, but I think they've given up trying to stop it now, because it used to be if you wanted to go to a gig and take a photo, your camera was like so big, they'd see you, But now everyone's got a phone, so you just hold your phone up and stare at it while you're filming a band who are in front of you.
You're not even looking at the band. I can understand if you had a little thing on your shoulder, like when people used to go to the cinema and they used to put the... do you remember those video cassettes you used to get?
And people eating their popcorn and moving about.
Yeah, somebody walking in front of the screen. That was your original pirate video, wasn't it? And I can kind of get that if you're that way inclined and you want to make any money, but you're holding your camera in front of your face.
Yeah.
I know...
It's beyond me.
I can understand photos, because I think a good photo is...
I think the only time I've been to see Muse a lot. The only time I actually filmed a couple of different gigs, it was the same bit, and it was the piano solo in Butterflies and Hurricanes.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to see if it came across differently in different venues, because obviously I've seen them all over the place. Even though I went over to Phoenix and saw them, Wembley was 88,000, and Phoenix was 3,000.
Wow.
Completely. So how did it work? And that was about the only. But I soon got bored of trying to. I'll just watch it again.
Because nowadays everything's available on some sort of media at some time, isn't it? You can buy DVDs.
It's almost like you go and see a band, and as you're walking out the door, you can YouTube, and it's all on there.
Yeah.
It's like, really? Where's the magic? Everybody knows the set list now already, don't they?
Yeah,
I used to like going to the Pixies. You go to see the Pixies. You never knew what they were going to play, and I even saw them play. They even came on, did the encore, went off, came back up. They played the set backwards. That was brilliant.
That is impressive. I mean, a lot of bands they did do that. I mean, I saw New Model Army a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
and Justin actually made a point of saying, we don't put our set lists on the internet.
Yeah.
Ourselves until the tour's over, because everyone's different.
Yeah.
When you've got probably they've got they've definitely got about 13 albums. And
definitely.
90 minutes and a couple of encores, which are always the world. You've got an awful lot of material to choose from, and I know they like to play them. I don't know if were you a fan of New Model Army?
I was, yeah. I again, the bass player really. I first remember seeing him. I've got the one with Christian Militia.
Vengeance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that I got that one that came out. That was excellent. And then also I got No Rest. I didn't have after that because I didn't think they were as good when the good bass player left.
Stuart Morrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was astonishing.
He was really good. He's actually now a painter and decorator.
Yeah, he just went back to doing that, but he was absolutely brilliant.
I mean, he wrote some of the great. I mean, that whole album was written around bass and drums.
Yeah,
I mean, it's now I think Justin Sullivan is the only.
original.
He's only
Yeah,
original.
well,
Because Sano is the only surviving member. Because
yeah,
Rob
'cause
Heaton.
Rob died, didn't he?
He passed away about 5 or
Yeah.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing them on their first tour without him, and they kind of brought in another guitarist, which they always had. Do you know who their second live guitarist was for years? Whenever they played,
Yes, I do actually. Wasn't it the guy from the Mission?
it was
What's his face? I can't remember his name. Was it him?
it was Ricky Warwick
Ah,
from the Almighty,
right.
and I never knew that. And I never knew that because this guy just used to pitch up on stage and play, and
then
then
clear
go.
off, yeah.
And then I saw the Almighty, I think at Nebworth when they first started, but if it did Wild and Wonderful. And I was talking to somebody, and they just said, "Oh, you like New Model Army? Yeah, well, that's their second live guitarist, Ricky Warwick." And I was like, "No, it's not. This guy they're playing sort of Wild and Wonderful and lots of sort of like anthemic metal." And then you think, hey, and it was him. And I remember sort of bumping into him and saying, "Did you?" And he's like, "Yeah." Wow, that's a real change of I mean, gigging. They gigged ferociously, didn't they? New Model
Yeah.
Army.
Oh yeah.
And the Levellers. There's lots of New Model Army and Levellers gigs. I remember going to them.
I think they were almost inseparable at one point. Weren't
They were, yes, and then I think there was a dispute. Something happened on a tour, and then they never toured together again, and it'll be lost in the mists of time. Okay, well, I think we better have some adverts, and when we come back, you can finally tell us about your new project.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear that because we did talk a little bit about it, didn't we?
Yeah.
So let's have a quick break, and then we can come back to that.
This is Hereward Radio, bringing community radio back home,
I'm ambassador
where it
for a charity
belongs.
called the Free Kicks Foundation, which is a Peterborough-based charity, which I first got involved in when I moved there, and see a lot of the things they've done. Because you see the smiles on the faces of the children, you see the children come in on a day-to-day, and we had a lot to do with it. And it was just nice. I mean, seeing the young children that are disadvantaged and not very well, to finally have that day where they can really put a smile on their face, and it means a lot to them and their family. Football seems to bring everyone together. Everyone has their favourite club, and when they've got their favourite club, they all stick together, the fans, the players, and the whole club as a general. So the club want to help charities, the players want to help charities, the sponsors want to help charities, and I think that's what brings it all together. There's a lot of activities that set up within football and football-based that bring everyone together, and you see the smiles on the faces of the people when they come to football, when they do football activities, and that's why it means so much to people.
To find out more, go to www.freekicksfoundation.org.
5 babies bestowed with secret powers at birth by a mysterious stranger grow up unaware of their destiny. Brought together again after 13 years, the 5 teenagers face time travel, danger, riddles, and a touch of magic to complete a series of quests. Why have they been chosen? Who is their mysterious benefactor, and where will the quests lead them? Find out in The Gatherers, the first in a trilogy, The Power Vested in Me by A.J. King. Available on Amazon or visit www.thepowervestedinme.com.
This is Hereward Radio, bringing community radio back home, where it belongs.
Okay, well, we're back where we belong, I hope, anyway, for the next hour and 10 minutes. Geoff, you've just given me a CD.
I have.
And you were telling me a really interesting story, and I'm thinking, I was going to say, stop talking, we're going to have this, but I wanted to listen anyway, so you're going to have to say it again, my friend. You're going to...
Well, we were in Las Vegas, and we was wandering in the shops, me, Tina and Alana. And I'd sort of split up from them. I went for a wander, and I found this Betty Page shop, which is all like rockabilly clothing and for women and all shoes and that sort of thing. I thought, oh, I'll go and tell them. So up they went, and they were spending a while in there. But in there, they had this old free play jukebox, with actual records in it, and you press the buttons like the old ones in the pubs used to be.
Yes, I remember
and
that.
they had Surfing Bird on there by the Trashmen. So I put it on 11 times in a row. But that's how long we were in that shop. To the point where I even think they turned the jukebox off because they were sick of it. But they were still in the shop trying to buy shoes.
So 11. Well, I can't play it 11 times in a row. We could try. I mean, it's like 2 minutes 23 seconds long. So that's stretching it a bit. That's a. So this is a song that has probably been heard by. I don't think there's probably a very small percentage of the population.
Yeah,
not heard
it was in American Dad or something like that as well, and that kind of made it more popular. Everyone sort of went, "Oh right," I think it was in some cartoon.
It kind of pops up. I mean, it's probably in The Simpsons.
Maybe
Most things have, but I think it was one of those. I think it's a song that lends it to.
I just think
such a wide range of
it's a
genres.
brilliant psychobilly song that was around before kind of psychobilly.
Let's have a listen to it then.
All right.
I'll just have to. I think that should work. Okay, so this is "Surfing Bird" by the Trashmen. No, it's not. Why is that? Oh, hang on a sec. I'm not very good with the technology, Geoff. That's a problem. You see, I should just stick with the 4-track. Yeah. Right, let's see if it works now.
Oh, well, everybody's heard
Here we go.
about the bird. The bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. Bird is a winner. Well, a bird, bird. Well, a bird is a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a winner. Well, a bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a winner. Well, a bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, don't you know about the bird? Well, everybody knows that the bird is a winner. Well, a bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, everybody's heard about the bird. Bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, a bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, don't you know about the bird? Well, everybody's talking about the bird. Well, the bird, bird. The bird's a winner. Well, the bird.
That was a Surfing Bird by the Trashmen. And you were saying, while we were listening to that, Geoff, that it's just really raw.
It's bananas, isn't it?
But it's brilliant as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's saying it's like when you get in a band, when you can't play, you do stuff like Surfing Bird for a year while you're learning how to play. You know,
I'm going to try and get hold of this. I'm going to buy this. Because I just remember listening to that song.
Well, that was on the Jukebox in the Vaults, wasn't it? There was a few things on the Jukebox in the Vaults. That was always on.
And the Meteors. And the one I can remember by the Cramps was the one that they had on the Jukebox in the Vaults was Human Fly.
Yeah, they had Crump Stomp on for a while, but it didn't last that long. And they had, I tell you what they had the B-52s.
Oh, God, I love the B-52s, yeah.
Rock Lobster, but they had the live version, which is supposed to be on 33. But it played at 45, obviously, on the jukebox, so it was really fast, and I always think it was brilliant. I thought, that's better than the original.
I don't know, do you know what? I don't remember that. But then saying that, it's the kind of song that if you played it at 45, it would sound better.
Yeah, it sounds really good. Yeah. And then you hear it normally, you go, isn't it slow?
It is. And I can remember, I don't know if you remember, they did an album. It was one of the later albums, and they did a song called Rome.
No, I don't know that one.
And I remember hearing on the radio, I can't remember, I was up in Manchester, and this song came on the radio, and I was like, oh, that's not bad. That song it was kind of, it wouldn't have sounded out of place amongst people like Alanis Morissette.
Okay,
and, that kind of
earnest sort of.
Yeah, it was quite a nice song. And I said, what was that? It's one that's the B-52s. And I went, no, it's not the B-52s. And it was, and they just lost that edge that they had.
Yeah.
And I remember having to go back to my kind of like my kind of studio flat, what they call it now, my bed set that I was living in. And I had to go and listen to Whammy because that song just was a really good song, but it didn't at all sound like the B-52s.
No, I think they were always sort of this underground band, like the Cramps were, and other bands of those. And I think once they did, what was that one? What song? Love Shack. And then they got super famous, and it all sort of went wrong.
I think the song Rome was the single they released after Love Shack I think the album was called Love Shack, wasn't it? Yeah. Because that was the one after Whammy, which Whammy kind of broke them because that had Rock Lobster on it. And then I think, obviously, after that, Love Shack became huge.
Yeah.
But that still had that kind of, that rock and roll.
Yeah, a bit, it's not quite surf, not quite this, not quite, but it was just that different edge, wasn't there?
But that was fantastic, that Surfing Bird, hearing that again. I remember the Ramones doing it. Yeah. And, of course, it suited Joey Ramone down to a T, because that kind of music was what Joey Ramone grew up on.
Yeah, that's kind of what the Ramones did, almost, wasn't it? You know.
But with their kind of savant music behind that, it was just crazy. I saw them do that at Rock City.
But that was good.
That was on the... Was that the Too Tough to Die tour?
Right.
And I can remember going there. And it's funny because I can remember listening to Henry Rollins, one of Henry Rollins' spoken word shows.
Yeah.
And he talks about seeing the Ramones for the first time in America. And I didn't have a dissimilar experience because I think we went to Rock City and they were quite big, but nobody realised quite how big they were.
Yeah.
And I think what happened is the show sold out, and then lots more people turned up, and the promoter just kind of
let them in anyway.
Yeah. Well, let's just grease them up and shove them in. And I think once the support band stops playing, you get that moment where you kind of think, oh, right, okay, well, I'm going to go to the bar. And you turn around, it's just people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you look round for the first time.
And you can't see anything apart from people, and you just slowly getting pushed towards the front, but there's like 5 people in front of you, and they're not moving.
Yeah.
And, so I remember seeing the Ramones, and there's a lovely bit in Henry Rollins' set where he says, the Ramones were my favourite band of all time. I love the Ramones. They changed my life. But after an hour of the Ramones, when Joey Ramone said thank you and good night, and they walked off stage, I just thought, please don't play encores. And they came back and played another full album's worth of encores. But I actually had a similar experience. But I was able to kind of push my way out to the back, which was slightly less compacted, and listen to the encores, because I couldn't see them. You're not Rock City's like this.
Well, one of my favourite venues. I went there recently, actually. I took my daughter and we went to see Gary Newman. He was excellent.
Oh, wow.
He was absolutely excellent.
He is one of my... I don't know, can you still have heroes? You can have heroes, can't you?
Of course you can.
Yeah. He was one of my heroes growing up as a teenager. Gary Newman was very much... He was doing... it was probably dance. I maybe would have caught the back end of Telecon.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of stayed with me. He's almost sort of held my hand through my musical life in many ways. And I haven't seen him for a good few years.
Oh, go and see him next time. He's absolutely brilliant.
He's fantastic.
He was absolutely brilliant. He was having a great time.
I slept, I didn't do a lot of sleeping, but because I slept rough on King's Cross Station when he did the Dream Corrosion tour.
Yeah.
And me and an old friend went down to London to see him, because we used to live in Royston in Hertfordshire, and we used to sort of do this pilgrimage to Shepherd's Bush. And we went down
the
to...
Empire you went to, yeah.
Was it the Shepherd's Bush Empire? It would have been. It's probably the O2. It's probably an O2 now, isn't it?
I've no. Most things are, aren't they?
Yeah, I think most O2 own most things, don't they? Yes. But we went to Shepherd's Bush. It was the Empire. Yes. We went to the Empire and Shepherd's Bush to see him, and he played for 3 hours. And as a result of that, we missed the last train. Got to King's Cross and had to spend the night in the King's Cross area. it was truly terrifying.
Good for you, though. Good for you. Hats off to you, because you, rather than go, I'm going to miss my train, I'm going to leave. You went, no, I'm staying, I'll miss my train.
But it was just so good. I mean, he literally played everything.
Yeah.
And he was playing stuff from Replicas.
Yeah.
And Chew by Army. He played That's Too Bad.
Yeah.
From the double 7-inch EP, which I really want to get my hands on, which had That's Too Bad, Bombers.
Yeah.
And there was two, I can't remember the other two tracks.
Because I remember Ian Walmsley, he had the Blue Two Boy Army album where it was all guitars. It was like just before they changed it all into synths. And either of those records are brilliant.
Replicas, I think Replicas was the bridge.
Yeah.
Because if you listen to the second side of Replicas, it's a very predictable album, because the first side's got a lot of really good solid guitar, and the second side's got stuff like I Nearly Married a Human.
Yeah, it's almost like you start. It's Blade Runner.
Yes.
You know.
I think he had a massive influence. The whole Replicas thing is Blade Runner, isn't it? That album was really quite special for me, and I love the first album because it's very raw.
Yeah.
But it's not quite punk.
No, it isn't. It wasn't. It was just that. It was different. It was good. Still is.
And it's and his uncle was the drummer. Jess Linyard was the drummer of his uncle. Yeah.
Right.
And Paul Gardner was the bass player, and he stayed with him right up to his death. Paul Gardner died very tragically. I can't remember. It was probably quite late in his career. He died of a heroin overdose, ironically, in the park.
There you go.
Nobody ever knew whether there was any whether that was symbolic or just a tragic accident.
Happenstance.
Just happened, yeah. But no, I loved Gary Newman. I wish one day I'm going to have to bring some Gary Newman and do a Gary Newman show.
But some early Gary Newman on here. It's great.
Definitely. Should we? Well, before we play anything else, let's hear about this new band you've got.
Well, what it is I never thought that I'd get anybody together to play the stuff I'm writing on my own live. So, but now I have. I've got Martin Spillers playing guitar for me. He's busy learning up all the different bits. Fozzie's going to be drumming, and Matt is going to play the bass. So I'm going to start rehearsing full band in the new year, and then our first gig is on the 1st of April. I picked that on purpose.
Well, it's a good day. Well, what day of the week is the first?
It's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday, even better.
It's a Saturday.
Even better.
And it's going to be in the back room at the Swiss. So it's going to have enough room for about 30, 40 people. And it's going back to playing original music, which is something I've got a sort of thing about now. And hopefully what I want to do is every 2 months in the back room in the Swiss is have 2 bands playing original music as a sort of as a thing, you know. And then see where it goes.
Because I mean that would be that would be spectacular. Actually, I'm sure. I mean, there are loads of bands. I mean, I could certainly shove quite a few bands if that's something you're thinking of organising.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. I sort of put the idea out, you know, onto the interweb a couple of months ago and see what happened. But it's something I want to do. But it's going to kick off 1st of April. And it's also first thing is the theme is spaghetti western, so I'm going to try and encourage people to come dressed up because I'm going to film it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I've gone on the 22nd of April. We're over in Stamford at the Voodoo Lounge doing the same thing. I'm going to film that as well. And there's going to be lots of little things here and there.
And what's the band called?
It's Hayward and the Vaqueros.
Okay.
So which is the Spanish buckaroo, which is old way of saying. You know, call people buckaroos, don't they?
Yeah.
But it's a V, but because the Mexicans pronounce it with a B, so that's where buckaroo comes from.
So that's the 1st of April.
1st of April.
1st of April at the back room of the Swiss.
Yeah. And I'm still sorting out a support act for that. So it's going to be 2 bands, me and somebody else, original music, and that'll hopefully kickstart every other month. Do a couple of bands playing original stuff. That would
be great because we've just lost another one of the great music pubs.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know it. I had no idea. And I've always wanted to play there again at the Cherry Tree.
Yeah.
And I remember when the English Dogs played there with One Nation. I remember bumping into Janet and saying, "Do you know what, Janet, I've got to bring the Hendrix band down here." And she's like, "Oh, definitely, definitely." And every time we bumped into each other, you know how you just assume everything's going to go on forever.
Yeah.
And every time I was in there, which is kind of periodically, I'd say, "Janet, I haven't forgotten. No, give me a call. Facebook me. We'll sort it out. Yeah, definitely, definitely." And then it's gone.
Yeah. And
that was really sad because that was, that's been there forever. Every time I've come back to Peterborough over the last kind of 25, 30 years.
Yeah, it's one of those dyed in the wall music venues. And there's more and more disappearing as we go through the years. And music is really important.
It is, especially live music.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a long, old, contentious, drawn-out debate about cover bands and originals bands. And
well, there's a space for everybody. I mean, obviously Ramshackle, we do a lot of covers, but I muck around with them. I'll change them into something else, and I'll change the way they're done, and I'll put 2 or 3 songs into the same song. Just to make it different. But cover bands is okay. People, if they go out and they want to have a few drinks and sing some songs, that's fine. But but original music is just as important.
We tried something a few years ago. It never really got off the ground because there was loads of really good cover bands. I mean, I actually do think Peterborough has a very diverse cover band scene. And I think we've probably got some of the best bands out there who are playing covers. If you look at some of the bands out there, I mean, you've got bands like Children of the Revolution, who are absolutely spot on. You've got the absolutely fantastic party bands like the Rocket Dogs. I mean, you go and see the Rocket Dogs play, you don't sit there and go, "Oh, yes, I like that version. Oh, that's lovely." It's, you've got to get up there. You've got to dance. And they've got a great performance.
Yeah.
And they do what they do incredibly well. And you've got those sort of all points in between. Like now, you've even got bands like the Expletives who are doing all the punk from the 70s right up to the 80s and the new wave. And we had this idea of getting a band like someone like the Rocket Dogs, Children of the Revolution, or the Expletives, and getting a band of a similar kind of genres to them, and they'd do a set. Then the original band would play a set, and then they do another set.
Yeah,
so the original band was sandwiched in the middle.
Yeah.
Because what tends to happen, if you have a support band that's an originals band, people don't turn up.
They don't pay attention.
Yeah.
They're at the bar.
Yeah, so you've got somebody up there playing songs that they've spent the last year writing, and nobody's listening. Whereas if you have a band that everybody knows warming the crowd up, they say, right, no, this band's going to come on, they're going to come for half an hour, you've got to listen, come on, they're really good. And if the band gives them the endorsement, then I think more people will watch them, but it just never seemed to get off the ground.
When you think of it, or anyway, cover bands, they're all playing original stuff at some point. Somebody had to sit and write these songs
somebody wrote
in the first
at some
place
point,
for them to end up being covered,
Well, if you look at some of the biggest bands, Rolling Stones, Beatles, my personal favourite, the Grateful Dead, the first Grateful Dead album, a lot of that was covers, and they came up in the early 60s playing they played kind of cover versions of jug bands.
Yeah.
I mean, Jerry Garcia played, I think he started off playing banjo, and even right up through to stuff like Working Man's Dead, they had that really kind of folky rock, sort of American sort of bluegrass folk influence.
Yeah, the sort of birth of Americana almost.
Yeah, yeah. And the Stones played a lot of rock and roll covers, as did the Beatles.
Well, yeah, they did.
I think the Stones' first album they released was all cover versions.
Well, a lot of the the early stuff that the Beatles did before they were writing so much, they did loads of rock and roll classics, didn't they? Roll Over Beethoven, all that sort of stuff.
So yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a place for cover bands, but the original bands tend to it's almost like a lapse at the moment. I think we need something to kickstart it.
I think if you're playing music, it's brilliant. I think often people get a bit sniffy about cover bands, and vice versa. Cover bands who go out and think they're the bee's knees, and they'll go listen. They won't even listen to an original band, because they just, what do I need to listen to that for? I've got all these great songs that I do.
what I'd like to see is to see local original bands covering other original band songs.
Yeah, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? But changing them into different styles. I think.
Well, I've always said to Paul, because I play in a band with Paul Emery, and a couple of other guys, Damien and Connor, and I've always said to Paul, I would love to do Enemy Lines by Jan Stark.
Okay, we'll do it then.
And Paul's always gone, oh yeah, but it's I don't know, it's quite weird to cover a band's song that's a local band, and I think, you know, if someone did that to one of my songs, I'd be like, oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it then. You know, that's kind. You know, you're doing it in a. It's a respectful sort of.
It is, yeah.
Nod. Thank you very much for giving us this song.
Yeah.
This is our version.
We're going to do it this way.
You know.
But yeah, I think, you know, we need to. That sounds like a really good idea. The sort of couple of bands. Was it once a month you hope to kick it off?
No, every other month. I
Every
think.
other month. Yeah.
At first, see how it goes. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll just see how it goes. I mean, I just think it's kind of. I speak to a lot of people. And they say it'd be nice to have somewhere you can go that's not necessarily massive, that you can just go and listen to some original stuff.
Yeah.
You know. So I thought, right, okay. I thought I'll have a look at it. And so the back room of the Swiss, it's probably only like 30, 40 people or something. So that's where I'm going to kick it off and see what happens.
Well, good luck with that. And the next song I'm going to play contains one of your current band members.
Okay,
Yeah.
so right.
It's his Contrast, and of course the drummer for the Contrast.
Yes. Oh, Contrast, are very good, yeah.
Stopping me from making things right. The God in my function hits me with a microwave. I cannot function, I can't hit the head. The God in my function is always in the way. The God in my function is running the government. No one knows what he looks like, could even be the president. The God in my function's always right. Don't take some action, we're all gonna be fine. The God in my function coming down the telephone line. We'll all be the same way if we ever forget. The God in my function, fluff-filled lies. He says it's deliberate, it's a supernatural thought. The God in my function is coming down the telephone line.